Thank you guys for spending this time with us today. I know your time is very precious, very valuable. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to everyone today about this. As we know, the world has changed, right? Email marketing, cold calling, it gets you so far. I'm not one of those guys that says that it doesn't work. Everything works, right? But you have to have different channels. You got to be omnipresent everywhere. Social media for me is one thing that just softens that cold call, it softens that cold email. When they've seen me on video, they know exactly who I am already before I call them. So that's what I want to get into today. And really, what is marketing? It all boils down to catching attention. My company's name is Catch Solutions. So you're going to see this theme throughout here. But first, I want to open things up with a poll to all of you to see, kind of gauge where you guys are in your journeys, see where you are in your marketing journeys. So what I want to know is, have you guys created any form of content in your business on any social media platform, written, like blogs, ebooks, audio, podcasting, video, or none of the above? So I want to give you guys a few minutes to answer that real quick, and this will help me kind of guide this this webinar to best suit you guys. So let me give you guys a few minutes to answer that. Okay, awesome. So yeah, the majority of us have done written content. That's not a surprise to me. That's awesome. That's where I got my start. There's still a lot of value in that. I mean, those are the three main sources: the written word, the spoken word, and then visual. Is just all about that video. Interesting to see that 31% of you have not done any form of content. That's perfectly okay. We're all starting someplace differently. So let me just dive right into this. So I'm going to start here with an image that I found, because I think this symbolizes where we are in the world. Every single person in this picture has a phone in their hand. They're looking down at their phone. This is where the attention is right now. So marketing is all about catching attention. Where's the attention? The attention is on my phone. It's on everybody's phone. I think we can all attest that we look at that thing more times than we should in a single day, right? So moving on here. All of us are, we're not living in the moment. We're having our phones out and we're capturing that moment with video, with audio, except for this lovely lady here who maybe she gets something of value that we've kind of lost. So maybe we should be more like her. But the reality is the world is moving towards this interconnected, hyper-connected world where we want information fast, we want it now, and we're not going to wait for it. So of course, these things have our attention. So attention span, the evolution of attention span. This slide is outdated. You guys might have seen this before, but we have 3 seconds. We have less than 3 seconds now to capture somebody's attention. So use that to your best, to your best to arm yourself with how to capture that attention best, either written word, audio, or video. That first 3 seconds has to be just completely out of this world, eye-catching. Otherwise, you've already lost us. So when I started my company, I had to be everything. I wore every single hat. I've been in business for 2 years. The one hat that I took on and never took off is the marketing hat. What is marketing? If you guys are a fan of this gentleman or not, Gary Vee, he's an inspiration to me. We are all simply day trading people's attention. That's what it comes down to. That's how business gets done. Who has the attention? That's who has the influence over the people that have wallets. So a little bit more about me. This is my brand. So I built my company, Catch Solutions, and I built myself around that company, #CatchKyle, as a personal brand. I started off as a company brand first, and then I pivoted to building a personal brand, which further complements my business brand. So it's an interesting concept. It's an interesting way of looking at it. But what are we in business? Is it really B2B? Do businesses do business to other businesses? Or is it more like me to B? Do I do business with other businesses? Do other businesses want to work with me who I'm inside my business? So kind of a little mentality shift there. That's what I want to focus on. That's what the world is kind of changing to, the social media world, in terms of the B2B side of things. So having a personal brand to complement that business brand is extremely crucial. It's extremely vital right now. So I'm not an expert, I'm not a guru, I'm not a coach, I'm none of those things. I for one, am anti those things. I hate those words. I don't know everything, but I'm like Frank Abagnale. I'm simply one chapter ahead of the class. I don't know everything about social media. I'm learning as I go, just like everybody else. But perhaps I'm one chapter ahead of you in your journey, and I just hope to share the chapter that I'm here to help you get on the same page. So agenda today, a couple things. We're going to get into why social media, the opportunities ahead that I see, 3 platforms to focus for B2B, personal versus corporate branding, why you need both, document, share, engage, repeat. That's the most important process of all. Tools and resources that I use, when to automate and when not to. And then my favorite part, get into the Q&A. I'm going to try to get to the Q&A as quick as possible. Hopefully you guys have some good questions for me. And then I will also be extending complimentary office hours to anybody that wants them. So why social media? You guys already know this. It's social media because you have to, but here's some interesting stats, some fancy numbers to look at. The thing that I like most about this slide is effectiveness ratings for B2B social platforms, LinkedIn, obviously, Twitter, and YouTube. That's where we're going to focus on, those 3 platforms right there. The rest of the stuff, I'm kind of just falling to the wayside. Opportunities that lie ahead. Video, 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 video. All about video right now. Video content, as you've probably seen on sources like LinkedIn and everywhere else, they're just getting promoted over everything else. So if you are more comfortable doing written content, stick to it. But if you can somehow leap into the video side of things, that's where you're going to grow exponentially. And then second to that, audio podcasting. There's a big audio boom a few years back. It's coming full circle. We see things like the voice assistants, the rise of the voice assistants with AI, Alexa, Siri, Google Voice. Like, those things are just going to start to dominate again. And podcasting is coming back on the forefront, because what are we all lacking? We're all lacking time. I can do chores, I can go run, I can do whatever I want to do about my day and listen to excellent content on a podcast versus sitting down to watch a 10-minute video. So those are my 2 focus areas, video and audio, and we're going to get into it. But besides that, ephemeral content. Ephemeral content means content disappears in 24 hours. So that's like your Snapchat and Instagram, all stuff that is still great opportunities right now for anybody marketing, and the messaging apps as well are a great place. But I'm going to focus on video and audio for my strategies. So 3 platforms to focus on for B2B. LinkedIn, of course, no-brainer. World's largest professional network. These numbers are way outdated. There's about 500 million members on LinkedIn now, but you can see how quickly that these things stack up. So 1 out of 3 professionals on the planet are on LinkedIn. 11 times increase in LinkedIn views by including a photo. I mean, there's tips here. There's good stuff. I'm going to show you, rather than talk strategy and talk, what you should do, I'm going to show you what I actually did. So let's get into my stuff here. This is my LinkedIn profile. Nothing too fancy. Got a little headshot there. This is an event that we hosted here in Plano, Texas. The header image back there, LinkedIn Local Plano. So I put that back there. It's simple. I'm saying what I do. I'm an enterprise technology strategy for cloud connectivity and cybersecurity. And then my personal branding signature of #CatchKyle. That's simply so that people can find me across any social media platform. The reality that I had to face is that there are about 100 to 200 Kyle Burts on this planet. So I can't be at Kyle on Twitter. I can't be at Kyle Burt anywhere. So I had to get creative, right? Like, how do I stand out? How do I market myself as a personal brand? So I don't know, Catch Kyle just came about, and it's something that I was able to secure in more places. So that's what I did. It makes sense with my company. It makes sense with my brand. And the 2 work individually, and then they work collectively to raise awareness to my messages, right? to my message of helping companies dominate technology as an advisor for cloud services, connectivity services, and cybersecurity, which is the industry that hopefully all of us on this call play in. So that should relate. So LinkedIn. So why LinkedIn? Why now? Here's a video that I did. This is actually 6 days ago, I think. Yeah, it was actually last Tuesday. So last Tuesday, I posted this video, the elevator pitch challenge. I try not to focus on views too much, but more the quality of the views. So yes, it's 12,000 views. It's a very decent number of views. But if you look over here to who's watching me, who's watching my content, AT&T, Oracle, RingCentral, CDW, these are kind of obvious. They're right in my backyard with technology that we consult with. But look at over here at where my audience is. 1,100 people from the Dallas-Fort Worth area, Chicago, New York. So this is where you can kind of unlock and untap some amazing potential within LinkedIn, is getting the eyeballs of the right people. So look, CEO, executive directors, 467 of them are watching me. Founders, 394, right? Of course, salespeople is always the number one title on LinkedIn that watches content, and recruiters. But besides that, my goal is to get the attention, the ears and eyes of CEOs, executive directors, and IT leaders in the space. So I try to focus on that as much as I can. So here's another example. This one is a little bit different. Again, high engagement. If you look at like the engagement here, 183 likes, that's cool. But what I care more about is the 70 comments. So the way that I've been able to form relationships and then turn those relationships into sales is by interacting with people in the comments. So I want to tell you guys an awesome tip here. So if you're not making video content, that's okay. But if you find video content like this, maybe there's a CIO that's making content. Maybe it's written content on LinkedIn, or maybe it's something else. Like the real money is in the follow-up. The real money is in the engagement. So if you get into these comments here and you really dove in and you started commenting on people's posts, you started to build relationships with people, even if they're not like your ideal customer, you never know who they know, right? They could know somebody that knows your ideal customer. So it's all about building relationships and creating a community of people online and being a part of that community. Similar to how CSC is, Cloud Services Community, right? So that community, but at a macro level in social media. So that's the change that's happening there. So if you can establish yourself in that community, start to engage with other people, you'll start to get this type of engagement. And the more engagement I get, the more views I get. The more views I get, the more people that are watching me that start engaging, that I can then form relationships with them. So it's all a circle. It's a cycle of social media. So I need the attention. Once I get the attention, I get people liking and commenting on my stuff. Once they like or comment on it, I can follow up with them with a connection request. I can send them a meeting request for some virtual coffee. And then from there, the relationship is either formed or it's not, right? It either clicks or it doesn't. But when it does click, that's where the magic happens. That's where it turns in from, hey, we're just playing around on social media, to, hey, we're actually conducting business, having long-lasting relationships with people, and actually having an ROI out of that. So that's LinkedIn. LinkedIn is where it's at. It's the #1 place that all of us need to be and focus all of our effort into. I could talk about LinkedIn for days, but I want to be cognizant of your time here. So moving on, Twitter. Twitter is huge. It is the most popular microblogging site. You already know that, but here's some interesting stats for those of you that don't. 313 million monthly active users. This number is way wrong. It's much, much higher than that. People get Twitter wrong, right? Twitter's an interesting place. It's full of spammers, right? I mean, marketers come in and they ruin everything. They ruin every platform by spamming it with ads and spamming it with content. But if you listen really carefully on Twitter, then you can find business. So Twitter is actually not so much about, hey, look at me, look at me, look at me. It's more about listening to what people are saying about you. What are they saying about your company? What are they saying about, for me, like SD-WAN, software-defined wide area networks? What conversations are happening around SD-WAN? So for me, I'll jump right into the middle of that conversation on Twitter and throw my 2 cents in there. Next thing you know, I'm talking to the CIO, and we're getting into this heated debate about SD-WAN best practices, and maybe or maybe not, that turns into a phone call. So that's what Twitter is for me. Listening and engaging. It's not a place to just brain dump a lot of articles or just spammy stuff, because with Twitter, it's there for a second and then it's gone, just like that. LinkedIn is the place to be more authentic, your authentic self, authentic brand messaging. Twitter is a place for listening and engaging, and it's that simple. You have to be on Twitter, though. You have to be there. Your company does, and as a personal brand, you have to have something there. Next, YouTube. So YouTube is huge, but it is entirely saturated. So pros and cons of everything. It's the second largest search engine behind Google. So being the second largest search engine, every piece of content is searchable. 1 billion unique visits per month. So the image here on the left, keywords DRAS, which is disaster recovery as a service. You guys all know that, I'm sure. And WannaCry, which was the big ransomware that we had last year. When that came out, I immediately made a video about it. I had a show called Whiteboard Wednesdays. I made sure that I beefed it up with those 2 keywords, and the video was all about what to do about WannaCry. Well, you need disaster recovery as a service, because that would protect against that. And I didn't do this on purpose, but it just kind of happenstance. I became the #1 search result SEO-wise for those keywords. Again, like probably 3 people in the world searched for those 2 keywords, but it doesn't matter. It just shows the power of YouTube, of how you can rise to the top by having the right focus. So moving on next. Thank you for your questions too. We'll get to that in a little bit. So YouTube. So here's just a snapshot of my YouTube. I'm honestly not dominating or killing it on YouTube, but I want to show you guys some strategies. Again, LinkedIn is my focus, but YouTube has a lot of value. So I did a video about Cisco when they bought BroadSoft. I called it the death of the PBX, because a lot of us in the space were selling UCaaS, Unified Communications as a Service. So you can see here the engagement that I got from that. Got some dislikes, got some hate. But the key with YouTube is simple. You create a video around a specific topic or point. Try to make content that is evergreen, that would last for, that has a lot of longevity. Or it could be something just like this, death of the PBX, something interesting that happened. And then what you do is in the comments here, in the description, look at the bottom lower left hand of the screen here. I put in the description, if you found this helpful and would like to chat, let's do it. I threw a Calendly link so they could book a 15-minute call directly on my calendar. And this has allowed me to get actually appointments from people that watch my video on YouTube. So it's allowed me to get leads in a very unique way where I'm not finding them, they're finding me as a result of me showing up. So it's a very interesting idea. So that's YouTube. So key takeaway here with social media is that perception is reality. So what I mean by that is you're perceivably, you have this perception on social media. Here's some results, right? People sending me praises, and I appreciate this stuff, but I'm not the ego stroking type of guy. I'm just showing you this stuff because you want to see the results. You want to see how this stuff actually works, how this is going to help me make money in business. Well, this is how it's going to help you, right? These people are reaching out to me saying that they're inspired by my videos. They love the LinkedIn presence I have. Some of them are asking to meet for coffee. and they're starting a conversation with me that I didn't have to start. So if they're starting it, all I got to do now is continue that conversation. I already have social proof at this point. So they already believe in what I'm doing. They already believe in what I'm saying, and they're just connecting now. So now with that information, what do you do from there? Now you just have to follow up with all these connections, and you can find the business you need. So that's why I'm so headstrong on social media, and that's why I believe in this stuff so much, because it's actually working. It's actually doing something for me. This is my most prized case study. Somebody watched my very first video that I did about software-defined wide area networking, and it was a terrible video. It was awful. It was the first video I ever made. I was very monotone on that video. I was talking about very basic stuff with regards to SD-WAN, like stuff you can just Google and look up. But it doesn't matter, because this gentleman who happened to work at Coca-Cola watched the video and sent me this LinkedIn message asking to help him on his SD-WAN journey. So this was the moment for me that everything clicked inside my head, where I was like, wow, this stuff actually works. Like, it's not just hype. It's not just people running around saying social selling versus cold calling. It's actually something that we can put into use. So this was in April 2017. This was the moment when this happened that I went 100% all the way into making video content and promoting it across social media platforms. So proof is in the pudding. If you do it right, it does work. You will have clients coming to you versus you having to struggle to find new clients month after month after month. But besides that, it's just awareness that you exist, awareness that your company exists, and awareness of what you can do to help other people in the world. Okay, moving on. Personal versus corporate branding, why you need both. John Legary is the best example of this from a public status, high profile figure. I mean, look at how on point his personal brand is with T-Mobile. I mean, T-Mobile, you know, I'm an old AT&T guy. I worked for the company for 10 years. I still love AT&T, but T-Mobile has done wonderful things to really beat down AT&T's marketing team across the board. They just have a wonderful marketing presence because of the way that they do it. It's raw, it's authentic. Like, here's the CEO of T-Mobile. He's not suited up. He's not to the nines dressed up. He's just being himself in a t-shirt, just raw, authentic, and he's connecting with all of his customers on a personal level. Like, I've actually sent a tweet to John, and he's responded to me. I don't know if it was actually him or if it was his social media team, right? But it felt like it was him responding to me. So, you know, as a consumer, that feels good. That feels good to get that reinforcement from a high level figure like John Legary. So again, this goes back to the Twitter thing. So since I'm showing you the Twitter stuff, that's what Twitter's for. It's for finding these high profile people, you know, stroking their ego a little bit, engaging in the conversation, and you'll start to see that the people are willing to respond back to you. They're willing to start a conversation, and that's where it goes down, right there in that conversation. You take that to the inbox, to the DMs, and next thing you know, you're having coffee with one of these people. You're talking about projects that you guys can collaborate on. So really powerful stuff. But corporate branding, personal branding, you need both to work in unison, because people don't buy from companies. You don't just see this T-Mobile logo and just run to it and flock. Well, maybe you do, but you're not going to see my logo, Catch Solutions, and just run to go buy it. But me having my brand and my company having its brand work together, that's how it works out. That's how I'm able to generate hype, and which turns into leads, which turns into a funnel, which turns into business, right? It's just the traditional sales funnel, but I'm using it in the social media world. So, interesting quote here. T-Mobile has had customer and financial growth the rest of the industry would die for. That's huge. So, so maybe you're buying into all this stuff, and you're like, okay, great, I'm bought into it. So how do I get started? How do I do it? The easiest, simplest way is to just document what you're already doing. There's so much that goes on in business that the rest of the world has not seen. Those of us that are in the B2B space, I mean, we know it. We know what goes on in these meetings. We know what's happening behind the scenes. Find moments, little snippets in your day that, would provide some level of value if you shared it on LinkedIn, or if you turned it into a YouTube video, right? Or if you just made a quick little Instagram video like these here. Find little snippets that you can document, share those snippets, engage in conversations with other people. That's the biggest point here. Like, again, if you don't make a single piece of content, that's fine. But you need to get out there and engage with other people's content, because you can make a fortune just engaging with other people, creating relationships of value, and just doing business together. So that's my formula: document, share, engage, repeat. Consistency is key here. If you make a one-hit wonder video, that's all it will ever be, a one-hit wonder. You're here today, gone tomorrow. In order to build something of value, a brand of value, something that people want to follow, you have to consistently show up. I make roughly, on average, probably 3 videos per week. So it's as much as I can possibly handle with still running my business. But you'll notice that if you're new to it, after making your first 10 to, I would say, 20 videos, it starts to feel really comfortable being in front of that camera. You get extremely good at just putting out a product that is worthy very quickly, simply by doing it. So we have a saying, we have a TV show called Coffee with Kyle's, and we have a saying on that show, in our execution, we find our answers. So we don't think about this. We don't overthink it. We just turn the camera on, start talking, and we post it. And that's what we did. The first 10 videos I did, they were just that. They were me looking back. I can say this, they were terrible. But the people that watched them at that time, they didn't think so. They found some level of value in it. But me, in my own head, I got into my own head and I thought, this is a terrible video. But it goes to show that what I find valuable is not what you find valuable. So you never know what you share could become valuable to somebody else. And every day that you are not posting some piece of content is a missed opportunity, because every single video I've posted, I've gained one new follower or one new connection or one new conversation that led me somewhere else. So I would just urge you to try something different. So try to make a video, try to start a podcast, try to do one piece of written content, even short form, at least weekly, but preferably almost daily if you can. I know it's a lot, but this is the world we live in now. If you're not present, then you don't exist. I hate that it is that way, but it is. We just have to adapt to it. So for people that are getting started, nobody wants to watch perfect people. So I had this problem too early on. I'm a perfectionist, probably like a lot of you in this room here. And I just, I want it to be exactly the way that I think it's supposed to be. I want to give the perfect presentation. Even now, as I'm speaking to you now, of course I want to give a perfect presentation to you guys, but I also realize that you don't want a perfect presentation. You want kind of flaws and all, just to be some level of organization to it, but just to have a real authentic conversation. Just show the authenticity of who you are as a person, because business is all about people. Cool. So just some tools that I use. Buffer to schedule some posts out. This is not really helpful for video, but it is helpful for written content, specifically with LinkedIn and with Twitter. Crowdfire automates my Twitter for me. Feedly is something I use for news and RSS subscriptions. So early on when I was growing my Twitter account, what I did then was, send some relevant articles out through Twitter, and it did get me a ton of followers that way. But Twitter has since changed. Still good to send some quality articles out, and you can do it with some of these tools. Same thing with If This Then That. You can send stuff, interesting articles from Feedly to LinkedIn and Twitter. Those are just some of the ones I recommend, but beyond the tools, it really just comes down to finding an audience, finding a community, and engaging with that community. If you can't find one that you like, then going out there and creating one. Just some resources to help you guys out. Digitalmarketer.com is one that I used to frequent often. Social Media Examiner is another one. My favorite of all time is Gary Vaynerchuk. He preaches day trading attention. He runs his own media company for big conglomerates like Pepsi, Toyota. All the marketing you see from those companies comes from his company. And then Seth Godin is another source of inspiration to me and to others out there as well. One of my favorite quotes from Seth: "You don't make art after you become an artist. You become an artist by ceaselessly making art." So make that art, ship that art, and let us judge the results. If the art sucks, if the art is terrible, then the market will speak for itself, and then just make better art next time. It's that simple. Test and learn, test and learn, test and learn. So real quick, that about wraps it up. Real quick before we jump into Q&A, wanted to give you guys a special offer. There's no hooks, no strings, nothing else attached to it. I run a technology consulting company, probably similar to most of yours, but I do value relationships. I do value community. So what I did is the next 2 Fridays, I blocked out some time for anybody that wants it, 30-minute social media strategy session. You can schedule at this link down here below, calendly.com/KyleBurt/CSC. So hope to see some of you guys there. And that is it. Feels like I've been talking nonstop, which I love to do the Q&A stuff. So if you guys have any questions, now's the time. Happy to help out here. And let me see, I got some questions here. All right, so I'm the only one in our marketing department, and I have limited time. Excuse me. What do you suggest I spend my limited time on? So to answer that question, I would need to know exactly what type of business you're in, but I would assume that you're doing the same type of line of work that I'm in, which is B2B stuff. If you're B2B and you can only do one thing, then you get on LinkedIn and you become part of the community. You create content from your company page and from your personal page, and you distribute that content as often as you can. Find a schedule that works. Start with weekly, migrate to twice a week if you can. I know you have limited time, but it doesn't take that much time to make a video or make an interesting piece of content that can be shared to the world. Another question here. We do LinkedIn groups, Facebook, and Twitter, but haven't seen any results from it. What can we do differently to make sure we are getting some sales leads? So the key to getting sales leads, you're not going to make content and then magically, you might, but typically you're not going to magically just get sales from making content or even having groups of people. And some of these groups, the content in there gets stale. The group is kind of just a placeholder. LinkedIn groups we've all been a part of, the ones I've been a part of have been frankly downright terrible. So I don't know anything about the group that you're talking about here, but the groups that I've been in, just, there's no engagement in there. And the key to leads is engagement. So if that's the problem, then I would either find a way to beef up the engagement in that group, or I would find another avenue, such as just creating content yourself and trying to get engagement from that. So promoting that content, surrounding yourself with community members around that type of content and promoting that instead. Because engagement is the key. The key to sales is following up with every single person that liked a photo, liked a video, liked a comment, or written text, and getting into a conversation with them. All right, let's see another one here. So our company is new to an online presence and social media. Where do we start as a company? So if you're brand new to an online presence and social media, again, like LinkedIn, I can't say this enough. LinkedIn is where it's at. LinkedIn right now, with Microsoft buying it last year, I think last year or so, they're testing a ton of things. Microsoft has Microsoft BI, right? Power BI analytics. They're bringing a lot of new features to the platform at a very rapid pace. You also see Facebook in the news negatively. Facebook has become a necessity, and whenever something's become a necessity, it lost its cool factor. Facebook is no longer cool. So what's happening is marketers and people of all different categories here are jumping onto LinkedIn kind of in droves of people jumping into that. So I would absolutely double down, triple down on LinkedIn. If you don't have a company page, create a company page. So that's step one. Step two, start putting content out there on your company page. You're not going to get engagement day one. You just got to keep putting content out there day after day, week after week, month after month. And it's hard work. It's not easy, but eventually you start to get some attention. You start to get some eyeballs. Then from that, you got to make sure you take care of those people that are watching your content, that are viewing it. Provide value to them as often as you can. Engage in conversation with them. Take the conversations offline. So that's where I would start. 100% LinkedIn. Create that company brand. If you have the personality on your team, either you yourself or somebody within your company, maybe the CEO, or maybe just one of the employees because they have a really good social media presence. They could be a brand ambassador for you. Put them on camera. Put them in as the front runner of the company, right? You can do a lot of things there. All right, let's see. I think we have one more question. Okay, last question that I see here. Is there a good way to do a referral program using social media? We have some money in our marketing budget to be able to pay for referrals. So that's a very tactical question. The answer is yes, there is some phenomenal ways of doing a referral program through social media, but referral programs like that typically need to be behind the scenes. So it's not something you would go out and advertise on your main company page, or maybe it is, right? Maybe it is something you would do. Depends on the business model. So referral program, are you talking about referrals for, agents or sub-agents that are in the community? Maybe that's something you don't want to publicly announce. You want to do that in the direct messaging or something along those lines. So for that, I would need some more context, but you can absolutely do referral programs through social media. So I think that is the last question we had. Any others?
I don't see any, Kyle.
All right.
But I do want to thank you for offering your time and sharing your knowledge with us. Yeah. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for attending. Please take a few moments to fill out your post-event survey. Your input is very important to us. And this concludes today's conference. You may now disconnect.
Thank you.
Thank you.